Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we are diving into one of the most important concepts in Microsoft Power Platform, and that's relationships in Dataverse. If you have ever wondered how different tables in your app can talk to each other, like connecting customers to their orders or students to their classes, then this video is for you. By the end of this tutorial, you will understand three types of relationships, how to create them, and how to use them in your apps. So let's get started. So, what are relationships? In Dataverse, relationships allow you to connect one table to another. Think of them as a digital link that makes your data more meaningful. For example, instead of having all customers and orders details in one massive table, you can keep them separate and then link them. That way, data stays clean, structured, and reusable. There are three main types of relationships in Power Platform. One of them is one-to-many relationship. One record in the table relates to many records in another table. For example, one customer can have many orders, so you can relate one customer or the customer table to the orders table. And that's one-to-many. There's another one, which is many-to-one. Basically, that's the same thing. It's just the reverse of the first type. For example, you can say many orders belong to one customer. So it just depends from which perspective you're looking at it, but they're basically the same thing. And then the other one is many-to-many. Records in a table can be linked to multiple records in another table and vice versa. So for example, students can enroll in many courses and each course can have many students. And that way there's a many-to-many relationships. So understanding this is very important for building scalable apps. When you create a relationship, a lookup attribute of the primary table is created in another table. So basically the primary table GUID or the primary key is stored in there as a foreign key. And on top of that, you can create a subgrid control in the primary table to allow you to visualize all the related records as well. So I'll show you how to do that. So first thing that we want to do is go to our solution. So just make that powerapps.com. I'll go to my solution. And then, so what you want to do is at the moment we are creating a one-to-many relationships from our expense request to our expense item. So you want to go to the primary table first, which is the expense request, like so. And then you want to click on relationships. Just going to click on that. And here you can see all the relationships that are already existing. But to add a new relationship, what you want to do is create new one-to-many relationships. And then in here, so the expense request, we want to relate it to expense item. So you just type it here, and here's our table, expense item. And as you can see, a lookup column display name. So I don't want to change it. You can change yours. But this lookup will be displayed in the expense item table. Everything else, you will just leave it as it is, and then just click on done. So that has created a relationship. And what that will do, I'll show you what it will do, but it will create a lookup on the expense table. It does take a while to load, but that is pretty much done. And what I'm going to do is, if I go to my expense item, for example here, and I'll go to the forms, and here you want to go to the main form, and here's our form. So we want to basically, as you can see here, that is the lookup, the expense request lookup column. And what you want to do is you want to bring that one here to your form. That's worked. Yeah, and that's all you need to do for now, and I'll just save and publish. So I didn't want to spend 30 minutes doing this video, so I am going to make another part 2 as well in terms of relationships. So once that's done, you want to go back, and I want to go back. So if you go to expense items, actually, you would want to go to expense request first, and you want to go to forms. What you want to do here is you want to go to the main form, Once you're in the main form, what you want to do is you want to create a subgrid. So basically a subgrid allows you to view the related records. So the expense item records, you can view them in the expense request table. You can create a new tab, or you can just keep it here as well. So I could go here and approval details, or I could just go to general as well, and you click on component. What you want to do is you want to go on the grid here, and then you want to drag a subgrid and then just place it anywhere here or wherever you want it. I'll just place one here. The entity or the table is the expense item. Expense items here. And then you can also choose a view. So if you have different views, you can choose whichever view you want to be the default. I'll just keep it as active expenses. Done. And as you can see, now you can see that control. You can see that subgrid here. I'll change the name to expense items. And once you click out, it will just change the name. Apart from that, I show related records as well. You want to click on that. But before I do that, actually, so I just want to show you another thing. So when you click on subgrid, you always want this one ticked where it says show related records. So you have to check that because you want the subgrid to show all the related records. Once that's done, I'll just cancel out of this, save and publish it. And what that will do is it will create, basically you can create an expense item even from within the expense request table. So if I go back to my expense management app, you want to go to the application. And if I go to my expense request, I just say I want to create a new request here. I can click this one and I can basically say, I'm not sure why it's not showing. If I go here, if I click on travel, yeah, okay, so you can see that it shows the subgrid here. So what we're going to do, just go to expense request and create new. I'll just call this one my taxi expense. And I'll save it. And here comes the items, expense items that you want to associate with it. So I can add a new item here and say what I want to say. I want to say paid for taxi. Expense type, I'll just click taxi. Item amount, I'll just say $30. And as you can see, the expense request, the one that I created earlier, my taxi expense, is already populated here. So it's already associated with the expense item. And this is what I say when I say it creates a lookup into the other table and stores that foreign key. This is what I mean. So it's already done that. And all I need to do is save and close. So if I go here, as you can see here, paid for taxi, that's the expense item that is related to this expense request here, my taxi expense. If I go to expense item, it would have already been created there as well. See how it says paid for taxi here? And if I click on it, that is already associated with my taxi expense. So this is what it does. So, and that's why relationships are very important. So, and the reason that they're important is because it improves the data integrity. There's no duplication or messy data. It makes reporting and Power BI integration much easier because your data model is structured. It enables rich app experience. For example, in model-driven app, you can easily navigate from a customer record to all their orders. So what we have done in our expense app is that we can easily navigate from our expense request to our expense item, and we can associate those ones as well when we create the items. And also, as I said, it creates a foreign key here. It creates a foreign key, and basically what you want to do is, if you want to see what that is, I can show it to you. So if I go to my accounts, for example, or my contacts actually, I've just created a couple of contacts here, but if I go to James Bond, as you can see, the account name is a lookup as well, which points to the account table. If I go to my account, I have Contoso here, and I just go to my contacts and click on James Bond, who is related to the Contoso account. And if you want to see what this actually stores, it's basically just, this is only the primary key or the GUID of that record. And if you want to see what that looks like, it's just a 32 hexadecimals. So you can go here on your developer tools, just click on more tools. You can go on developer tools here, and then just click on here to select the element. And if I go here, as you can see, I'm just hovering over the lookup, and you can see it says F13A, so on. This is the ID. This is a hexadecimal that is stored within, but it will just show you the name anyways, because it's easy for humans to read. But in the system on the back end, it is looking at that GUID, or that unique global identifier. That's what we have done. Now you understand the importance of creating a lookup and creating relationships. So that's pretty much actually it for, that's a quick introduction to relationships, I would say. We have covered 3 types of relationships here, which is how we set, and also how you set them up. So if you find this helpful, don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss future tutorials. I will be uploading another video as part 2 for this one. And basically, we were going to be discussing relationship behaviors, because every time that you create a relationship, you can also control what kind of behaviors that you want. Also, relationships hierarchy. Relationships have their hierarchy that you can control. Also, relationship mapping, and also connections. Connections are important because I'll show you why. They're all important, but before I finish this video, I'll just show you what a connection is. So as we can see, James Bond is related to Contoso, but we don't know how James Bond is related to Contoso. So you want to create a connection to create a connection role per se. And that is to say that James Bond is the CEO of Contoso, or James Bond is a manager at Contoso. So you want to create a connection. And in the next video, we will be discussing that, and I'll show you how to do it. So I hope you liked this video, and I hope that you found it helpful. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.